Hello and welcome once again to the News Today, your primetime destination. News, newsmakers, talking points, news without the noise. Let's tell you what our big talking point this Wednesday night is. It comes from Parliament, where Home Minister Amit Shah versus Leader of the Opposition Rahul Gandhi, no holds back battle on vote Chori allegations. Has Amit Shah silenced the opposition or not on vote Chori? Also, our continuing focus on IndiGo Airlines. The DGCA's fix for IndiGo. Will it work or is it too little too late? We'll have plenty on all those stories. But first, as always, it's time for the 9 headlines at 9. The debate on electoral reforms ends in the Lok Sabha amidst acrimony. Opposition walks out after Home Minister Amit Shah says vote Chori charges are an attempt to protect infiltrators. A heated exchange between Shah and Rahul Gandhi dominates the proceedings. Delhi High Court comes down hard on the centre over the IndiGo crisis. Asks how did the government allow airlines to charge exorbitant prices that hit consumers. DGCA summons CEO of IndiGo Peter Elbers again tomorrow. Fugitive Luthra brothers file an anticipatory bail plea in the High Court after the fire at their Goa club killed 25 people. Their partner Ajay Gupta is arrested. Bombay High Court pulls up the police for protecting Ajit Pawar's son, not naming him in the Pune multi-crore alleged land scam. A Nirbhaya-like horror in Gujarat's Rajkot. A minor girl brutally assaulted survives an attempt to rape. The accused allegedly inserted a rod in her private part. He's been arrested. The Karnataka SIT exposes an alleged Dharmasthala plot as a manufactured narrative. Investigators say the entire mass burial charges were levelled to defame the temple administration. US Trade Representative Jamieson Greer in India for trade dialogue says the talks with India are fairly far advanced. Says India is a tough nut to crack. After Microsoft, Amazon now set to increase its India investment to over $35 billion by 2030. The investment will focus on AI-driven digitization, export growth and job creation. And no relief for Raj Kundra and Shilpa Shetty in a fraud case. Court demands 60 crore rupees deposit, orders the full amount to be deposited if the couple wants to go abroad. But our top story tonight, where we've seen today one of the most fierce debates that Parliament has witnessed in recent times. Home Minister Amit Shah in a no-holds-barred attack on the opposition and Rahul Gandhi in particular at the conclusion of the electoral reforms debate. Mr. Shah rejected the charge that the opposition has been consistently making of vote chori or vote theft. He also expressed confidence in the ongoing special intensive revision exercise across the country. The opposition walked out, particularly when Mr. Shah claimed that the opposition was against the revision of the electoral rolls because they wanted to protect ghuspetiyas or infiltrators. It was a debate that showed just how polarized Parliament can become at times. It's going to be our top focus. Do we really need electoral reforms or not? Take a look at first what happened in the Lok Sabha today.
स्पीकर सर, मेरा कल एक सवाल था जो हिंदुस्तान के इतिहास में पहली बार डिसीजन लिया गया कि इलेक्शन कमिश्नर्स को फुल फुल इम्यूनिटी दी जाएगी।
ठीक है, ये है ना, इसका जवाब
इसका पीठ में खत्म नहीं किया सर। इसके पीछे जो थिंकिंग थी वो हमें सबसे पहले बताएं।
ठीक है।
दूसरी बात, नहीं हरियाणा की जहां इन्होंने बात की, इन्होंने एक उदाहरण लिया, वहां पर अनेक उदाहरण हैं।
वो भी आपने दिया था ना, 19 वो भी आपने दिया था, इसलिए वो भी
19 लाख वहां पे फेक लोग,
वो उदाहरण आपने दिया था, इसलिए उसका जवाब दिया।
और ये भी हमें बता दीजिए, एक्चुअली लेट अस हैव अ डिबेट ऑन माय प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस, लेट अस गो। Let us have very good idea. Let us have a debate on the press conference.
Okay.
Amit Shah ji, I challenge you to have a debate on the 3 press conferences.
Please.
ठीक है, बैठ जाइए, बैठ जाइए।
माननीय, प्लीज माननीय, आपने बात की थी, प्लीज।
उत्तर प्रदेश में और हरियाणा में दोनों चुनाव में वोट कैसे दे रहे
माननीय,
हैं?
प्लीज
ये भी जवाब दे दीजिए।
माननीय गृह मंत्री जी।
मान्यवर, पहली बात मैं स्पष्ट करना चाहता हूं, मैं 30 साल से विधानसभा और संसद में जनप्रतिनिधि के रूप में चुनकर आता हूं। मुझे लंबा अनुभव है संसदीय प्रणाली का। विपक्ष के नेता महोदय कहते हैं कि पहले मेरी बात का आप जवाब दीजिए, मैं सुनना चाहता हूं। आपकी मुनसफी से संसद नहीं चलेगी। मेरे यहाँ बोलने का क्रम मैं तय करूंगा। इस तरह से नहीं चलेगी संसद। मान्यवर, उनको धैर्य रखना चाहिए मेरा जवाब सुनने का। इनकी एक बात का जवाब मैं दूंगा, मगर मेरे भाषण का क्रम वो तय नहीं कर सकते, मैं करूंगा, क्योंकि मैं बोल रहा हूं। राहुल गांधी जी ने 5 नवंबर 2025 को एक प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस में परमाणु बम फोड़ा। अब वो परमाणु बम के अंदर उन्होंने कहा कि हरियाणा में एक ही घर में 501 वोट पड़ गए। चुनाव आयोग ने इतनी स्पष्टता करी कि हाउस नंबर 265 कोई छोटा मकान नहीं है और 1 एकड़ का पुश्तैनी प्लॉट में अनेक परिवार बस रहे हैं, मगर वहां हर परिवार के घर का नंबर नहीं दिया गया है, इसलिए सब जगह हाउस नंबर 501 दिया गया। और एक परिवार की तो 3 पीढ़ियां साथ में रह सकती है। और पुराने नंबर से ही जब हरियाणा में कांग्रेस की सरकार चुनी गई तब से ये नंबर इसी तरह से चल रहा है। ये ना कोई फर्जी घर है ना फर्जी वोटर है। ये मुद्दा क्यों उठा रहे? मूल मुद्दा है अवैध घुसपैठियों को मतदाता सूची में रखने का। मान्यवर, ये 200 बार भी बहसकार करेंगे, एक भी अवैध घुसपैठियों को इस देश में हम वोट नहीं देंगे। ये हमारे एनडीए का पॉलिसी है मान्यवर। डिटेक्ट मतलब ढूंढो, डिलीट करो, मतदाता सूची में नाम काटो और उनको डिपोर्ट करो। हम संवैधानिक प्रक्रिया कर डिटेक्ट, डिलीट और डिपोर्ट ये पूरा करेंगे। मैं तो बात कर रहा था घुसपैठियों को देश के बाहर निकालने की। अब ये तो देखिए साहब, अगर मैंने इतने सारे आरोप करे श्री जवाहरलाल नेहरू पर, इंदिरा गांधी पर, इनके पिताजी पर, सोनिया जी पर, तब भागते तो लाजिम था। ये घुसपैठियों को लिए भाग गए क्योंकि उनकी हमारी पॉलिसी है डिटेक्ट, डिलीट और डिपोर्ट। उनकी पॉलिसी है नॉर्मलाइज कर दो घुसपैठ को, उसके बाद में मान्यता प्रदान कर दो और चुनाव में मतदाता सूची में डालकर फॉर्मलाइज कर दो।
जो हमने पॉइंट्स रखे हैं उसका जवाब नहीं दिया, एक एग्जाम्पल लेकर बोल रहे हैं, तो इट इज़ अ कम्प्लीटली डिफेंसिव रिस्पॉन्स। आपने उनका चेहरा तो देखा होगा। मैंने 2-3 चीज़ें कही थी। मैंने कहा था ट्रांसपेरेंट वोटर लिस्ट सबको दीजिए, उसके बारे में एक शब्द नहीं बोला। मैंने कहा कि ईवीएम का आर्किटेक्चर सबको दे दीजिए, उसके बारे में एक शब्द नहीं कहा। मैंने कहा था कि बीजेपी के नेता हरियाणा में और बिहार में वोट दे रहे हैं, उसके बारे में नहीं कहा। मेरे प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंसेस में सॉलिड प्रूफ है, उसके बारे में कुछ बोला नहीं।
Okay, after that big face-off in Parliament, let's raise the big questions on the news today. Has Home Minister Amit Shah silenced the opposition on the charge of vote chori and collusion with the Election Commission? Is there an urgent need still for electoral reforms? Is SIR essential for cleaning up electoral rolls? Is the Home Minister justified in raising the infiltrator bogey as he did? And must the EC open itself to greater scrutiny? I'll look at the reforms part later with two experts, but I want to first look at the contentious issue of the Home Minister's attack on the opposition. Joining me now, Manikam Tagore, he is the whip of the Congress in the Lok Sabha, he's member of Parliament, and Tuhin Sinha, BJP's national spokesperson. I want to come to you first, Manikam Tagore. It seemed that the Home Minister was making his point very clear. He says the Congress is a sore loser and therefore is choosing to blame vote chori. When you win, everything is fine. When you lose, you claim the Election Commission is in collusion with the BJP. How do you respond to that fundamental attack that the Home Minister made on the opposition today in Parliament?
Thank you, Rajdeep. The main issue is that this debate is a discussion on the electoral reforms. The discussion for electoral reform started yesterday at 12 o'clock in the noon and till like 6 o'clock yesterday. And today it's continued from 10 o'clock and 5 o'clock the Honorable Home Minister replied. Leader of opposition intervened yesterday and Manish Tiwari ji opened the whole debate itself. Whatever the opposition was asking for it. Opposition was asking for reforms. We wanted that election reforms are needed. Therefore, we were giving ideas to the government. The election commission and the process, all other details were put by around 45 parties has put their ideas together. Leader of opposition gave 4 big ideas to that. But one by one, Mr. Amit Shah, when he spoke, he rejected all the ideas. He wanted to keep the election process the same. He feels that there is no reforms needed in this election process. Therefore, the problem is that Mr. Amit Shah's thinking is that status quo should be maintained. Therefore, he was giving different logics and others. It is his way of making his argument. But we were expecting that we were.
No, he says, Mr. Tagore, he says the status quo should be maintained because he says, as I quoted at the outset, that when the opposition wins a particular state, including Congress, you have no problem with the Election Commission or the EVMs, is what he claimed. Your problems come when you lose. You are not willing to introspect, he says. You are blaming vote chori without adequate proof, is what he claimed. And that there is nothing wrong with the electoral rolls in the manner in which the opposition is claiming there is. And even if there is, the SIR exercise is going on.
That's the problem with Mr. Amit Shah, because the debate itself is for reforms. The discussion is on if you see the business of the House, it says that discussion on election reforms. It clearly states that thing. Therefore, when the Home Minister is not ready for reforms and he is ready to protect whatever, whatever it is right, whatever it is happening, these kind of words, it is very unfortunate because we have to understand it. Where the vote chori has started now. The talk of vote chori started after the Maharashtra elections and Karnataka parliament elections. The parliament elections just concluded in 2024, 1 year before, when the BJP from 303 was reduced to 440, which wanted to have 370 number. They wanted to have 370 for them. No, they wanted to have 370. Their target, Mr. Modi in the House promised, when I was in their house, he promised that they are going to win 370 seats alone and 400 par for NDA. That was their target in 2024 before elections. What people made them? People made them to be 240. From 370, their target was 370. They were 303 and people gave them 240. They were able to, that 240 itself, we feel that there is a complete vote chori has happened. Mahadevapura election was model for which how fake voters, all this kind of double voting, all this process has been done. For that only Mr. Rahul Gandhi had press conference on Mahadevapura. He put out the facts. Then came the Haryana election. Then came the Maharashtra elections. We came out with some facts. Then we wanted to show that there is a vote chori happening. Kindly let us reform. Let us fix this thing. This country needs the right of the vote to be protected. That was our aim. Mr. Amit Shah took it totally into a different line.
No, sir. You're
And-
saying he took it at, Tuhin Sinha. Let me spell out the reforms. Now, just a minute, sir. Let me spell out Tuhin Sinha, the reforms that Rahul Gandhi spoke on. He spoke, for example, on providing machine-readable voter lists 1 month before the election to all the political parties. The Election Commission has refused that. He wants the CCTV footage to be available not just for 45 days, it should be available right through. Why only for 45 days? Why should the Election Commission have complete immunity from any prosecution? Now, Mr. Amit Shah answered some of these. He didn't answer the machine-readable voter list. But the seeming belief is sab changa hai, all is well. So you've got the Congress claiming vote chori, and you've got the BJP claiming all is well. Is there no middle ground? Should a system not look at some of these reforms at least, Tuhin?
Good evening. Well, good evening, Rajdeep. Good evening, everybody. I'm going to address all of these issues, but before I even come to that, I'm quite appalled by the logic of Mr. Tagore, who has proved with his arguments that he's a true disciple of Rahul Gandhi. He says, because we were claiming we would win 370 seats, but our final tally was 240, which would not have been 240 any which way. There is vote chori. What kind of argument is this? I mean, he's a seasoned member of parliament. He should come up with more cogent arguments. Now, coming to reforms, let me just, pinpoint 3 crucial reforms which have been undertaken in the last 11 years. VVPAT was notified by Election Commission of India on 14th August 2014 as an add-on to EVM. Enhanced voter IDs linking with Aadhaar card. Today, 65 crore voter IDs are linked with Aadhaar card. Online voter registration has been taken up on a very large scale. So these are crucial reforms. Of course, long-term reforms can be taken over a period of time. But again, coming to the fallacious, the malified charges of Rahul Gandhi, why is CCTV footage not available beyond 45 days? This was a rule which has come, forget CCTV footage. This was a rule which has existed since the 1950s, that beyond 45 days, any election verdict cannot be challenged in the Supreme Court. So by an extension of that logic, the footage need not exist. My point is, why does the Congress party wait for 45 days and start, alleging vote chori or start reaching out start filing complaints on the 46th day? For example, it's been 28 days since the results of the Bihar election came out. Barring the frivolous allegations of vote chori, which they've always leveled, have they filed even one official complaint with regard to any of the results? They have not. So it's a mischievous intent of this Congress party, and I'm glad Honorable Home Minister has called it out with facts on every particular issue.
Let me just make one fact check. It was a specific decision by the Election Commission that after 45 days, the CCTV footage will not be available. That is a decision that was taken by them post the Haryana election. That's a fact. Now, I want to bring you Manikam Tagore, because in what Tuhin Sinha says,
but
there may be a point. You see, the Congress no, 1 minute. Sir, just a minute.
Just 1 second.
I'm only stating the fact. The fact is the Election Commission moved a specific... Sir, the Election Commission moved a specific order. You're right that you have to move a complaint within 45 days. If you move the complaint, then the footage remains. But an order was moved. My only question, therefore, to you, Manikam Tagore, is the fact is that you've got... First, you blame the EVMs. Then EVMs does not become an issue, it becomes electoral rolls, that the mass scale fake voters and duplicate voters are there. Now when the SR exercise is taking place, there is a belief that SR exercise is being used to weed out specific voters. The goalposts seem to change. I want to complete clarity from you. Earlier we used to have booth capturing that took place also. It's not as if before 2014, before the BJP took over, there were no irregularities in elections. My point is, I want to understand why only now are you convinced that there is vote chori? I didn't hear this word in 2024 during the general elections when you all won 99 seats. Nobody told me vote chori hua, isliye BJP 240 seats pe aaya.
Exactly. That's a very good question, because it all started from Maharashtra and Haryana. The way the parliament elections, how they badly, more or less, they lost the elections. They were able to, from 303, BJP lost as single party to 240, and with the alliance partners, with 3-4 of them, has formed this government. Therefore, people has more or less rejected Mr. Modi into 2024, but can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Yeah, the main story.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Main issue is that we were able to analyze those data because machine readable voter list was a main important thing. We found that there is some kind of thing which is happening with the voter list. Therefore, machine readable voter list was asked, and we were been thinking. We approached the election commission after the Haryana defeat, when Maharashtra defeat was also a different thing. Then we thought that when Parliament the same result and Assembly result in 6 months, what miracle has happened in this thing? People rejected the BJP in Haryana and Maharashtra, but they voted in Assembly. What happened to that? They gave a diversion that they gave some direct benefit stories and others. But the match was different. Therefore, only there was a mismatch between the number and the real thing. Therefore, only when we digged in, there were lot of evidences came up. Mr. Rahul Gandhi ji had a press conference on Mahadevapura, the Karnataka Bangalore central seat, and then Haryana also he had a same kind of press conference on.
So are you, sir? That cannot become. So are you telling me the entire voter lists are contaminated? And they were only contaminated after the 2024 elections. Are you telling me post 2024 election, the list suddenly got contaminated? Is that what the charge is now?
No.
Until then, everything was okay.
We are saying that there is a pattern. There is a new pattern evolving through these kind of election manipulations. Every time, Rajdeep, you had been a journalist for long years. There was a time for booth capturing. There was in the 90s, there was booth capturing happening. Now you can't capture a booth now. Therefore, the story has changed. The goalpost, the model of Chori has changed. Therefore, we need to understand that in a new world, in 21st century, we need to fix this problem. Therefore, only we asked for a discussion on electoral reforms. We were not asking for a vote Chori discussion.
Sir, but now the government is saying that, government is saying we have brought. No, Mr. Manikam Tagore, government is saying that's why we have brought SIR. Because the opposition says there are irregularities in voter rolls, we are bringing SIR. But the opposition objects to that also, says Amit Shah. He says, damned if you do, damned if you don't.
That's a good thing. But Mr. Amit Shah mentioned from 1950, 60, 70, 80, 2002, he went on saying about SIR. When SIR happened, that every SIR happened for 6 months. Every SIR in that time happened 6 months when elections were not there. If you remember 2005 elections, when Maharashtra and Andhra Pradesh Arunachal elections were announced, SIR was stopped because they don't want to do with the SIR exercise for the elections. You need to give people their time to register as again as SIR in the SIR process. What we are saying is these people are clubbing Gyaneshwar Kumar and their team and the gang of people who are operating in the election commission are just changing that whole thing. Bihar elections before 2 months they are bringing in SIR. Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Assam elections, Bengal elections, so you're saying, before 3 months they are bringing in SIR.
You're saying You're saying the SIR, you have no objection to SIR, but you have objection to the haste with which the SIR is being brought just before an election. Tuhin, Sinha, you see, Amit Shah towards the end said, Amit Shah towards the end, Tuhin Sinha said that this SIR exercise is designed, or the opposition does not want SIR because the opposition wants Ghuspetia voters or infiltrators. Can the Home Ministry or indeed anyone tell me how many Ghuspetias have been found in this SIR exercise? Why suddenly why suddenly bring in Ghuspetias into it without proof? Bihar has had a full SIR.
Well,
we asked the election commission how many Ghuspetia, they're not able to give an answer. Focus, this country wants clean electoral rolls. Why bring in Ghuspetia every time? That's your politics then.
You missed out, Rajdeep, you missed out a big confession, which Mr. Tagore just made. He confessed that vote chori used to happen in the 1990s through booth capturing. Yes, I must compliment him for this because we saw that in 1987 in Kashmir. We saw that in 1995 in Bihar
question,
and
sir.
2000 in Bihar when 1,500 reprints were
Answer my
ordered.
question on
Of course, I'm
Gushpetia.
coming to that. It is not the job, of course, it is not the job of the Election Commission to identify illegal migrants. It is the job of the Election Commission to ensure that no illegal voter votes. Subsequently, it is the task of the local administration
Then it is the job of the Home Ministry. Can the Home Ministry tell us how many illegal migrants? When this question was asked to the Home Ministry in the Parliament, they are not able to tell us how many, Gushpetia. It's work in progress.
That is work in progress because, like I said, the first part of the job is done. Illegal voters have been identified. Now it is for the local law enforcing agencies to get into the verification of papers and figure out which among these are illegal migrants and weed them out. But let me assure you, we are very serious about illegal migrants, whether it is Santhal Parganas in Jharkhand, whether it is Simanchal in Bihar. All of these will finally be identified and weeded out. So the leeway which Congress governments used to provide, the days of that is over. But just one last point, Mr. Tagore was saying there is a pattern in these results nowadays. Of course, yes, there is a pattern. And I will tell you what the pattern is. The people of this country have begun to punish the Congress party. They have really begun to punish the Congress party for its negative, for its fly-by-night operating style, for its hoot and for its wild allegations which they are not able to substantiate, and for their habit of blaming the constitutional bodies and institutions without any logic, without any reason. They are punishing this Congress party.
Okay, I will give Manikam Tagore exactly 30 seconds to respond to that. Manikam Tagore, in all of this, let's assume that there are question marks over electoral rolls, but will there be question marks over the way you all also run your campaigns, be it in Maharashtra, be it in Haryana, be it in Bihar, or is the Congress not going to introspect on its own failings? A quick final answer.
No, we need to understand that we wanted an electoral reforms discussion. The electoral reforms idea has been rejected, and vote chori, Mr. Amit Shah was explaining about, he has not done vote chori. It has become 1.5 hours he was explaining about, he has not done vote chori. That is the whole speech it was for his explanations. We reject that his speech. We feel that he is not ready for reform.
No, that's because you have been attacking. No, sir, because you have been, Mr. Tagore, you have been attacking the Home Minister for the last several months now, saying there is vote chori, saying that the government is in collusion with the Election Commission. He is entitled to respond to that. You are having press conference after press conference saying vote chori. Why should he not then respond to you? He has the right to do so.
We came for, Rajdeep, we came for a discussion on electoral reforms. We were not, Mr. Rahul Gandhi ji spoke about vote chori in his speech. Go to the speech. Here, is there any word he used that vote chori? Whether Manish Tiwari used the word vote chori? Whether K.C. Venugopal used the word vote chori? No. We speak for ideas for electoral reforms. Amit Shah came for a clarification that I had not done vote chori. 1.5 hours he was explaining about vote chori.
Okay, let me leave it there. We've heard two sides to the story, and there are two sides to this story in particular. And I think that Parliament debate showed that you've got a government which seems to believe that that they, in a sense, are winning because the people want them, and you've got the opposition which seems convinced that something is wrong with our election process, and the government. No, sir, I've run out of time. The government is in collusion with the BJP. But I'll give you, with the ECI, 30 seconds, Tuhin Sinha, just 30 seconds.
Rajdeep, imagine at the end of this debate, Mr. Tagore is saying we never came to discuss vote chori. This shows that they have no ground. They have been battered in this discussion. They have been ripped apart left, right, and center with facts. They never came to discuss vote chori. Of course, this was the allegation which Rahul Gandhi has been leveling for the last 4 months ad nauseum. And today they are saying they didn't want to discuss vote chori.
Well,
this shows
Rahul Gandhi also suggested
they were just hoodwinking and misleading the country.
We came for reforms.
Okay, well, Rahul Gandhi also
we
suggested specific reforms. Okay, you said you came for reforms. Sir,
If there is
okay,
one
that
government
reflects
which
in
is
a way
committed to long-term reforms,
views
it
that
is
have come
us.
in this debate. I appreciate both of you joining me. Thank you very much, Tuhin, Sinha and Manikam, Tagore. Let's move on. Okay, so we've heard from the politicians. Let's now hear from those who've spent a long time of their careers looking at electoral reforms. Did this parliament debate address those reforms? Joining me now are Dr. S.Y. Quraishi, former Chief Election Commissioner, and Jayaprakash Narayan, who is the founder of Lok Satta, a group that looked to clean up politics. Thank you both very much for joining me. I want to turn to you, Dr. Quraishi, first. Do you believe that there are important reforms that need to be initiated outside this terribly polarized debate on vote chori that can actually strengthen public faith in the Election Commission and indeed in the idea of free and fair elections?
Yes, indeed. The Election Commission itself has been proposing reforms over a period of time for almost 3 decades. Almost 100 reform proposals are pending with the government. And 1 or 2 reforms which government is now attempting, like simultaneous election, is not the kind of reform that we were demanding. But the reforms that which are long felt are not being addressed. And first of which would be controlling the role of money power.
No, give me an example. Give me an example.
Yes, I'm telling you. The first most important reform that we need is a reform of controlling the abuse of money in the elections, because money is playing havoc with the elections. And there has been a proposal that corporate funding should be banned, because there is no free lunch. If they give you crores, they want something in return, like a license or a contract, or even a bank loan with which they run away to UK. So therefore, controlling the money power is the first thing, and the solution has been on the table for a long time, that let there be a national election fund to which the corporates can donate without really bothering whom it will be addressed to. And from the election fund, the either election commission or an independent body can distribute that fund on the basis of your electoral performance. That is one.
Can I take that to Jayaprakash Narayan? Because in this entire debate, Jayaprakash Narayan, that went on for 2 days in Parliament on electoral reforms, the role of money power, which has become staggering. I've met candidates in some states who say they've spent 50 crores, 60 crores on Vidhan Sabha elections. Now, given the scale of the money involved, do you think this was the question that should be squarely addressed? Or this is a question too close to the bone, particularly for those who get elected on money power?
Thank you, Rajdeep. It's a great question. There are 2 broad issues here. One is the conduct of election. The second is the political crisis we created ourselves with money power and entry barriers. Unfortunately, much of the political debate in Parliament and outside is all about the conduct of election, which actually is pretty good. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's as good as it can be. It's being improved. Mr. Quraishi, many other chief election commissioners then and now, they've been doing their best. So the problem is not with the ballot box or polling booth or electoral rolls, though there are some improvements required. The real challenge is the entry barriers, the party autocracy. Who is the candidate chosen? What is the role that the members of the party or the people have in that? The best citizens are repelled to join politics because money power. I disagree with Mr. Quraishi about his understanding of money power. The problem of money power is not corporate funding or individual funding for legitimate political campaign. That is 70 lakh rupees or 1 crore rupees per Lok Sabha, 28 lakhs or 30 lakhs per assembly. It's peanuts. That's not the real issue. As I said rightly, the 40-50 crores are spent, what for? Not for campaigning. It is for vote buying and inducements. Both parties, the major parties, are spreading that inducement across the electorate. Typically in the state where I'm sitting now in Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, in an assembly constituency, 1.5 to 2 lakh voters are distributed, depending on the party, 500 rupees, 1,000 rupees, sometimes 2,000 rupees, 3,000 rupees. Now, without that ability to spend money, or without
how do you change? But how do you change that? How do you change?
Right. this does not change.
But how do you change that? You see, we all know what the devil in the room is. How do you change it?
Great question. Great question. No, this cannot be addressed by technical fixes or by routine law and by punishing people, putting them in jail, because everybody is now in cahoots. You know, in many states now, if people do not get the money before the election, if the money is not distributed, they're publicly saying we'll boycott the poll. And television cameras were noticing it. So the problem is systemic, not legal. No, how do you address this? The only short-term way of addressing is change the electoral system. Why is the money power so important? Parties are desperate to get the marginal vote. The political party may get 30-40% vote if it's a serious contender for power. But the winning margin comes from your ability to gather the vote because of the candidate and the money power. What is happening is if you distribute money, then you're taken to be in serious contention. If you don't distribute money, there's no chance of getting elected in 99 out of 100 cases. People are pretty clear about it. And therefore, money power has become an immense barrier. Parties, there's no point blaming them and accusing them. They are now victims of a vicious cycle. If you move towards a system where the voting percentage is rewarded, not the particular number of votes in a territorial constituency, some form of proportional representation, but with caveats. Ensure stability, there are ways of doing it. Ensure that there's no fragmentation, there are ways of doing it. If you do those two things, without upsetting the system or the stability, you can remove the entry barrier, get the best elected. A Manmohan Singh and Arun Jaitley and many other good people are not electable in our system. They come into the upper houses. Whereas the people electability, a Brijbhushan or somebody else, I have nothing against an individual. We all know that they're not desirable in politics and governance. And yet without them, the parties cannot win. Now, so, that situation must be altered by electoral system change.
You know, you're in a way talking about radical reform, which from time to time is mentioned in seminar rooms, but the politicians will seem to prefer, or many of them at least seem to prefer first past the post because they benefit from it. You agree with that, Dr. Quraishi, that also needs to be one of the key debates in Parliament? It's all very well to talk about electoral reforms in the context of alleged vote chori. You're not going to change anything unless you dramatically change the system. Now you've got Jayaprakash Narayan saying, look at proportional representation more seriously. If you really want to control money power, it will reduce some of the entry barriers into politics.
Well, I agree partly with Jayaprakash Narayan. Of course, when I mentioned one point about the electoral fund, it is only part of the problem and part of the solution. He has opened up many other issues, and which are all very legitimate and genuine. And about the electoral system of first past the post and proportional representation. Initially, I was a votary of first past the post system. When I wrote my first book for An Undocumented Wonder, The Making of the Great Indian Election, I batted for first past the post system after discussing all the system. But when my third edition came after the 2014 election, I openly confessed that my conclusion was wrong and I'm changing my opinion. And this was based on a real life experience. And what was that? In UP, Mayawati's party got 20% vote share and 0 seats. Now, that is not real representative electoral democracy. 20% of the voters have no voice in the parliament. That is when I have been saying that a mixed system, which was originally practiced in Germany, but has been adopted even in Asia, in Sri Lanka, in more recently Nepal. They have a mixed system that half or 60% of the voters are first past the post. The other half are based on the number of the percentage of votes that you get. I think that is a system on which a serious debate is required. So more and more people are now talking about it, but no serious debate has yet started. And I wish it can start after this program.
You know, it's interesting that you're saying this. I hope someone is listening. This is where we are coming to the more constructive part of the debate on electoral reform. Jayaprakash Narayan, is there any other reform besides proportional representation that you think will ensure a more level playing field? I keep using this word level playing field. I get a sense that politics today, in the way elections are fought, is not a level playing field at all. How do you ensure a level playing field?
Yes, Rajdeep, before coming to that, just one point about proportional representation. You mentioned it's a radical reform. Actually, it's a very simple reform. The Constitution provided for that. Nowhere in the Constitution does it say there must be a first past the post system with single member constituencies. It is what we created by practice. Dr. Ambedkar very carefully put it in the Constitution to say that the constituencies will divide in such a manner that the number of seats allocated to each constituency will be proportionate to the population. It is seats, not one seat of territorial constituency. Because we're used to Westminster model, we are Anglo-centric. We don't think of anything else in the world. Therefore, we simply adopted that. Now, therefore, technically, it's a very simple thing. Provided, let me again reiterate, I know there are genuine fears of instability with proportionality. There are ways of overcoming instability by giving bonus seats to the largest party, both at the national and state level. There's genuine fears of fragmentation. We can't allow all fringe elements to be represented. Therefore, a reasonable threshold level to meet so that they don't simply come and mess up the political system.
Right.
Now, other reforms, political parties. Parties mediate the whole politics and democracy. And if parties are autocratic, how can you run democracy? Because without parties, let's be truthful. Technically, you can contest, you can have all kinds of things, but in reality, without political parties outside of Switzerland, there's no single instance where democracy is managed. They are the platforms for people's participation, and yet they become private estates and political fiefdoms. In Germany, under Article 21 of the Basic Law, there's actually a provision by which the parties are regulated in terms of democratic management, membership choice, funding, candidate choice, leadership choice. Now, our election is rigged before the election because you've already chosen some people who you think are electable, unrelated to what the people want or the country needs, because they are winnable. Our fight is about who is winning. No, it doesn't matter who is winning. It's the same kind of people. And oftentimes, one fellow is in this party today, 3 years later, another party. We are all fighting the shadow boxing. There's no real fight. So political parties, internal democracy. The third thing is, unless fiscal prudence is brought in, because in a lot of Bihar we have seen, elsewhere we have seen, the temptation to yield to the short-term maximization for the voters, cash transfers and so on and so forth, at the cost of the country. So Constitution provides space for that in Article 293, Article 260, etc., 360, etc., 362, etc. We must tighten these rules and make sure that borrowed money cannot be used for short-term freebies. You can do whatever you want, welfare and anything, current expenditure with current revenues, but not borrowed money, because you cannot steal the future from the children of our country. Intergenerational equity is affected. It's a grand theft of the future. If this much is done, I think our democracy is stable. The problem, let me reiterate, is not with the EVMs. Every chief minister who lost the election went to Supreme Court saying EVMs are bad. They won with the same EVMs, with the thumping majority later on. It's not EVMs. Electoral rolls are flawed, but they're being corrected. That's not a problem. That is not equal to voter fraud. And it is not about the election commission. Every election commissioner in the country, from Sukumar Sen till date, they have done a pretty good job under difficult circumstances. There was one election commissioner who was sought to be removed by due process. The government declined. He became chief election commissioner. That didn't make a difference to the country. So let's not think those three people are shaping the future of Indian democracy. No, it is shaped by other processes.
Okay, I think we've heard two sane voices. I wish we had more sanity in that parliament debate where these real issues, money, power, the need to look at proportional representation, need to look at inner party democracy within political parties was looked at more seriously. I appreciate Jayaprakash Narayan and Dr. Quraishi, hopefully for triggering a wider debate. Whether our netas will bite the bullet, I'm not so sure, but at least we will continue to look for possible solutions to make our electoral process much more robust. Thank you both very much for joining me.
Thank you very much.
Okay, let's turn then from there to the very latest on the IndiGo meltdown. The DGCA has now summoned the IndiGo CEO tomorrow and wants a full report on how the airline is going to get back on track. The Delhi High Court has also stepped in, saying that the centre needs to do more to protect passengers from such hardships, and also has come down heavily on India's largest private airline. Take a look at all that happened in the IndiGo story today.
The IndiGo crisis enters day 9. Flight cancellations continued on Wednesday, causing trouble to flyers. The Directorate General of Civil Aviation, or DGCA, has summoned IndiGo CEO Peter Elbers on Thursday for an update on the steps taken by the airline to smoothen its service. The summons come a day after the centre announced 10% cut in IndiGo's winter schedule. Top sources tell India Today that the government will redistribute these flights among other air operators. But other Indian air carriers may struggle to fill the IndiGo void. Sources say the flight cuts are more than the total flights of Akasa and SpiceJet combined. Air India has added 12 flights, while SpiceJet has added 100 to meet the demand. While these measures may provide a little relief, the flight shortfall could lead to a hike in fares. The Delhi High Court took up a public interest litigation plea on the crisis. A two-judge bench of the High Court pulled up the government over the hardships faced by passengers and delayed response.
Amidst the massive crisis that has hit IndiGo during the past week, the Delhi High Court bench, headed by Chief Justice D.K. Upadhyay, took up the matter for cognizance today and stated that even though the PIL that has been filed before the Delhi High Court lacks in merits, it's important for the court to step in larger public interests. The central government as well as the DGCA were pulled up by the Delhi High Court, where questions were raised as to why the crisis was allowed to happen in the first place and why the government and the DGCA had failed to act against IndiGo and other airlines when they had not met their civil aviation requirements as per the 2024 guidelines.
Meanwhile, the opposition is hammering the centre and the DGCA.
The DGCA should have monitored the airline to see whether they're actually recruiting people. They had enough time to recruit it. There was no monitoring by the DGCA. It's a collective failure of the management of IndiGo, of the DGCA and the ministry.
The NDA is on the back foot.
There's a lot of mudsludging against TDP and the India alliance here by YSRCP and other parties saying because Ram Mohan Naidu is at centre, this is why.
I don't know, because it's more of a union government issue.
Correct.
Which I don't have a great understanding about. But from my point of view, I think some mistake is, better not to, make it, blow it out of proportion. I think somewhere all of us should look into it and we should tone down.
IndiGo cancelled more than 4,000 flights over the last 9 days. The airline claims to have paid over 900 crore rupees in refunds. The crisis has exposed the plight of passengers who do not seem to have any recourse for compensation for the hardships they faced. With Amit Bhardwaj, Apurva and Nalini Sharma, Bureau Report, India Today.
So how should we read the measures taken now by the Ministry of Civil Aviation and the Director General of Civil Aviation against IndiGo Airlines? Joining me now is Vijay Gopalan, former CFO, Air Asia India. Appreciate your joining us. Mr. Gopalan, everyone is now targeting IndiGo. Today the courts have targeted it. The government has, of course, ordered a 10% cut in its flight operations. Do you believe that this is the right message that has been sent out to IndiGo for the fiasco over the last week?
Firstly, thanks for having me over, Rajdeep. Pleasure to be interacting with you. I think, yes, some tough measures had to be taken on IndiGo. There's no way that you can wash off your hands saying that, there were operational issues. This is not 10, 15 flights cancelled. I mean, we are talking about literally the entire Indian civil aviation coming to a grinding halt. I mean, so I believe that the measures were justified.
You're saying that the measures were justified, but do you believe that this will set some kind of a precedent now? There will be those who will even argue that is this government intervention in the marketplace, or do you believe that this is the way regulators must act when a particular airline, however large it is, seems to try and arm twist both the government and indeed the passengers?
Absolutely agree with you. Agree with you on the latter point, Rajdeep. There is a regulator for a reason. When things are going as per market practices, we don't have a problem. They don't interfere. But when it's actually affecting the country, I think the regulators have to intervene. I mean, it's like saying there are market practices. You have regulators restricting monopolistic trade practices, and that's actually interference with the market practice. So this is no different. When things are not going as it should have been going, it's perfectly justified for regulators to intervene.
You've been a CFO with an airline. What impact do you believe this will have on IndiGo itself? Is IndiGo simply too big to fail? Will this be just a blip in their balance sheet?
Truth be told, we thought Jet Airways was too big to fail. Initially, we thought Kingfisher was too big to fail. But if at all Indian aviation has taught us anything, nobody is too big to fail. Having said which, I don't want to fearmonger at this point in time saying that IndiGo is going to fold. I don't think that's the right thing to do. But this is going to have an impact, Rajdeep, because 10% of the flights in the festive season, because Q3, the third quarter of a financial year, especially December, is peak for any airline company to see profits. And 10% is a very sizable sum for any airline to take a hit. So it is going to have an impact on their financials, 100%.
But the question we've been asking a number of guests who've come to us on this, do you believe what's happened in the last week will encourage more players to enter the civil aviation industry, or will they back off, fearing that this is an industry where it's becoming increasingly financially unviable, according to some?
This is a graveyard, Rajdeep, and I've also told this in many forums at this point in time. We need structural changes if we have to attract more players. You can't have taxes, the fuel taxes at 30% in a few states. It's extremely high. 75% of my payouts are in dollars. And if my rupee is constantly going to be depreciating at a rapid pace, then my costs are going to increase. And we haven't even scratched the surface when it comes to engineering, MRO, and the crew training infrastructure in the country. We are talking about slot-related issues in a lot of airports. Take Chennai airports, I don't think you have sufficient slots now if you want to connect. So there are a whole lot of structural issues we need to sort out and make it a financially viable sector before investors start thinking about coming in here, Rajdeep.
So what you are saying is that this should be a trigger in a way, not just to penalize IndiGo, but also to initiate structural the structural failings of the civil aviation industry in this country. Am I correct?
Absolutely right, Rajdeep. Perfect.
Okay, that's a good way. Not too many guests will say absolutely right, perfect to me, but good to hear that. And maybe some of those structural issues we'll debate. We'll have a round table later this week looking at this critical issue of India's civil aviation sector and open skies policy. The trauma that passengers have faced in the last week has been immeasurable. Thank you very much, Mr. Gopalan, for joining me. Okay, let's turn to the other big story that we've been tracking, the terrible nightclub fire in Goa in which 25 people died. Well, today the co-owners of the property who have escaped to Thailand, Saurabh Luthra and Gaurav Luthra, applied for anticipatory bail in the Delhi High Court, claiming that they were victims of a media witch hunt. One of the co-owners, Ajay Gupta, a partner in the company, was meanwhile picked up from Delhi. The question still remains, when will the government bring back the Luthra brothers, or will they remain fugitives in Thailand? Take a look.
"25 lives lost, 4 days of crackdown, and now a hunt to get the two owners of the Birch by Romeo Lane who fled the country after the nightclub fire tragedy." After an Interpol Blue Corner notice was issued against brothers Gaurav and Saurabh Luthra, the two businessmen have moved a petition for anticipatory bail in Delhi's Rohini court. India Today has accessed the bail plea. In the petition, Luthras have alleged witch hunt in the case and claimed they had all the required documents to run the nightclub. The Luthras also argue that the brothers had gone to Thailand for work on December 6 itself and that they are unable to return as they are anticipating arrest in Delhi. The brothers alleged that vindictive nature was being shown by authorities against them. The plea says that Luthras and their partner were not involved in the day-to-day operations, which were managed by the on-ground restaurant managers. But the heat on them is rising. Goa Chief Minister Pramod Sawant declared that the owners will be arrested soon. He assured strict action against those who flout rules across Goa. So far, 6 people have been arrested in the Arpora nightclub fire case, including Luthra's partner Ajay Gupta. 3 government officials have been suspended.
The Goa police have achieved the major breakthrough through the investigations to the breach of the Romeo Lane. The blue corner notice have been issued to the Interpol. गोवा पुलिस ने 6 लोगों को ऑलरेडी अरेस्ट कर चुके हैं और बाकी भी लोग जो हैं उनको डेफिनेटली 100% हम अरेस्ट करेंगे.
India Today confronted Ajay Gupta, who is the latest to be arrested. He claims to be only a sleeping partner with Luthras.
मैं स्लीपिंग पार्टनर हूँ, मुझे इसके बारे में कुछ नहीं पता.
अरे तो स्लीपिंग पार्टनर हो, लेकिन क्या तुमने एनओसी मांगी थी? तुमने पूछा था कि पैसा कहाँ लगा रहे हो?
ये पकड़ा तब गया जब इसने कमर में दर्द बताकर लाजपत नगर के एक हॉस्पिटल में जाकर ये एडमिट हो गया. एडमिट होते ही पुलिस को जानकारी मिली. पुलिस की टीम हॉस्पिटल पहुंची और वहां पर जो भी जांच थी वो जांच हो जाने के बाद जब उसे डिस्चार्ज किया गया तो गोवा पुलिस लेकर के उसे सीधे सनलाइट कॉलोनी जो क्राइम ब्रांच का ऑफिस है वहां पर पहुंची. हमने लगातार उससे सवाल पूछे, उसने कोई जवाब नहीं दिया. जवाब दिया तो सिर्फ एक, जिससे वो पूरे मामले से पल्ला झाड़ता हुआ नजर आया कि मेरा कोई मतलब नहीं है, मैं तो स्लीपिंग पार्टनर था.
The court has allowed transit remand of Ajay Gupta. However, GST documents accessed by India Today show Ajay Gupta registered as one of the partners with Luthra brothers.
Yesterday, another club of Luthra brothers, Romeo Lane at Vagator, was demolished by the tourism department. It also had an order earlier also, but it is being told that the Luthra brothers, despite demolition being carried out by the tourism department, they had constructed it again and were functioning till Sunday afternoon. With camera person Siddesh and Ritesh Desai, this is Divyesh Singh in Goa for India Today.
Okay, let's turn to tonight's good news today story, which comes from Chhattisgarh, where hundreds of senior citizens appeared for an examination a couple of days ago in Chhattisgarh as part of a literacy campaign. It's an ambitious campaign to ensure that even senior citizens who didn't have the benefit of going to school when they were young can now be fully literate within the next 5 years. Take a look at tonight's Good News Today story.
In Chhattisgarh's Durg, elderly villagers are taking a bold step towards literacy. Over 15,000 candidates aged between 50 to 75 appeared for the nationwide Ullas New India Literacy Examination.
मैंने आज पढ़ाई किया है कि मेरे नाती नातिन ने पढ़ाया है कि मुझे अच्छा लगा कि सबको पढ़ना चाहिए. मैं कभी स्कूल नहीं आए थे कि आज स्कूल आए तो अच्छा लगा.
In the examination held on Sunday, learners from Durg who completed 7 chapters in 200 hours participated in the examination.
उल्लास परीक्षा का बहुत अच्छा उद्देश्य है. इसमें ऐसे लोग जो कभी स्कूल नहीं गए हैं और जिन्हें अपना नाम भी लिखना नहीं आता, उन्हें अपना नाम लिखने के साथ साथ साक्षर बनाने के साथ साथ बाकी चीज़ों का भी ज्ञान दिया जा रहा है, जैसे डिजिटल साक्षरता, बैंकिंग और मतदाता जागरूकता. इस तरह की सारी चीज़ें उन्हें बताई जा रही हैं.
They will receive a certificate from the National Institute of Open Schooling and the National Literacy Mission Authority.
जो बुजुर्ग हैं उनमें बहुत जोश और उल्लास के साथ वो परीक्षा केंद्र में आए हैं. उनका सम्मान किया गया है, उन्हें परीक्षा में सम्मिलित किया गया है. आने वाले समय में उनको NIOS के द्वारा सर्टिफाई भी किया जाएगा कि वो पूर्ण साक्षर है.
The Ullas Nav Bharat Literacy Mission campaign program, now renamed Education for All, is part of the National Education Policy 2020. It aims to make all citizens aged 15 and above literate by 2030, thereby achieving complete literacy across the country. With Raghunandan Panda in Durg, Bureau Report, India Today.
Okay, that's about all that we could pack into the show tonight. Thanks very much for watching. Stay well, stay safe. Good night. Shubhratri. Jai Hind. Namaskar.